What's up guys, here's a quickfire review of 5 pain points that Crimson Desert needs to fix for the game to survive. First off, the story is all over the place. The missions are underwhelming. You go from looking for your missing friends to looking for lost goats and sheep, then just fighting random knights in the town square. Then there doesn't seem to be any continuity with the missions or the story. Some of the missions end when it feels like there was a lot more that was supposed to happen. The easiest thing is to just assume the story is a background feature and not a main aspect of the game, because the way the story is conveyed, it basically is. Next up, the controls make no sense. For some reason there are multiple key bindings for important actions. For example, on PS5, L1 is the same button you use to lock onto enemies and block, which makes the combat feel really awkward. I don't know why they didn't just do what every other game does and use a button like R3 on PS5 to lock onto enemies, but it really didn't work in my opinion. The L1 mechanic to lock onto things is overused in the game. Anyone who's tried to pick up stuff will know what I'm talking about. You basically have to look at each item individually and then pick it up. I'm a loot whore, and honestly, I just walk past a lot of stuff in the game because picking up random stuff is just tedious. I get they were trying to reinvent the wheel with the controls, but I think they missed the mark on this one. The next point I'll touch on is nothing really feels like it's explained properly. I feel like there's a bunch of stuff that keeps getting thrown at you and it's never fleshed out properly. This can be from the missions, the abilities, the characters you meet, the random encounters. It's almost like the game wants you to figure it out for yourself, but the things they want us to figure out leave us with more questions than answers. For example, why is there a helmet that can see into the past that's utilized by pointing our lantern at a specific location? I don't know either, because it wasn't explained. I get that this is a sandbox game and it wants you to create your own experience, but a little explanation would have gone a long way. I'm not sure if anyone else can relate, but the battles in the game sometimes feel a bit unbalanced, and it's not just the bosses. There are multiple times when you can run through a gang of enemies and get absolutely curb stomped by a boss, and vice versa. I think the controls make some of the bosses harder than they actually are, and sometimes I feel like I'm fighting the boss and the controls, but the healing mechanic kind of compensates for the jump in difficulty. You can basically just bring a ton of food and spam healing to get past a difficult encounter. Ideally this isn't how you'd want to get past the boss, but sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. By the way, let me know in the comments if you also found that the camera kind of gets in the way and makes it hard to track the boss occasionally. In all honesty, the bosses do feel a bit unbalanced, but it's also exaggerated by some of the game's mechanics, and hopefully they can fix this in the future. The last point I'll mention is the entire inventory system is a massive pain point at the moment. Your inventory gets full way too quick. It feels like I've only picked up a few things before I have to start getting rid of the old to make space for the new. Speaking of which, the biggest problem I found with making space in the inventory was that I didn't actually know what was worth keeping, so I ended up hoarding a bunch of stuff, especially in the early game. Also, it's really tedious to find what you're actually looking for in your inventory because nothing is clearly grouped and you can end up scrolling up and down your inventory for a little while. This is one pain point that I'm sure will get resolved quickly because it's a pretty fixable problem that has an actual impact on the overall experience of the game. Thanks for sticking around guys. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe for more, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks.